Okay folks, those parts there are the airbags. They're drying now, and now my next section is working on what looks like more of the drivetrain section. Looks like some more suspension parts or airbag parts in the down position, and you've got some more drivetrain linking it all together. So this is what I'm going to be working on next. This is what the chassis looks like so far. Okay folks, these three sections make up part of your steering, and then once it's done your wheel will sit on here, and how this goes together is this way round. This ball joint goes into here, and then this slots into here. It's a tight fit. You hear that pop. So only a tiny bit of glue around the edges, and then once it's done you're going to be able to have a workable suspension. This is the one I did earlier, so this is all dry and it still works. Okay folks, this section is all put together now, and now this is going to be the steering. I've got here to put this on, and then you've got another drive shaft going from here to your transmission or gearbox or whatever it is. So if I flip this over, and this sits in here, this will go somewhat there, and then I've got a drive shaft to go in here, and I've also got a support piece to go over here to protect this part of the gearbox or whatever it is, and I've got some arms that attach to the side here that go onto here, which are these parts here, which are the airbags. Okay folks, this section is all finished now. Here's your two pieces for your steering. A drive shaft's gone in. This is all the airbag part, which is in the down position, because like I mentioned before, I'm having the fifth wheel down because it's going to have a load with a tank on the back. This is that section that protects that part of the drive shaft. Don't forget some of the small detail parts to go on. This is all complete now. My next step is working on all of this. Oh no, I've done that page, sorry. Right, this section is what I'm on next. I've got to be putting what looks like some more hydraulic arms of some sort for steering linkage. This is possibly, there's the fifth wheel housing or bit free wheel to go on. Some what looks like left pistons and raised pistons, but I'm having the one down, so I've got the pistons to go on, and the heat extractor to go on as well, and steering linkage. So this is the front part of the steering linkage and the heat extractor. There's the heat extractor down there, so this is my next step. Okay folks, gone ahead and finished off the suspension parts, which is here now. So we've got movable suspension. On instructions it calls out for this piece here. This piece is not very vague. It asks you to stick it on top of the steering thing. I don't know, it's a bit weird. Not very clear, that bit. Also, we've gone ahead and put in these little leaf springs, like suspension parts, and there's the heat shield at the front here. My next step is working on what looks like a lower engine half, or bottom. Yeah, so it's bottom of the engine and battery box. This is a battery box, and so this is my next step. Okay folks, I'll come back on this page again where I was just about to start the lower engine half. I've been looking in the instructions and the kit doesn't come with no engine. So I've looked online to see if there's an engine for this, and they're asking for a resin engine to go in this kit, but they're asking £50. That's a lot of money for just a little engine to go in it. And then go further on into the instructions. So this piece here will be no longer being used if you're going to use the resin engine, because the engine's cast as one piece. You get to this section, which is here. This all gets attached to the top of the engine, and the engine will sit in here. And then once you get onto this section here, when you're going to have the engine closed up, and here, and when you look and you're dropping it down, and look here, there's no physical way of having the engine doors open so you can see the engine. Even if you do try and modify it, on the back firewall, if you look on the real truck, there's a hell of a lot of stuff on this back firewall that the real truck has. So again, you're going to be doing a lot of scratch building and stuff. I just don't see the point, so I'm going to do this straight out the box. I'm not going to buy the engine because it's too expensive. I don't know why they didn't put an engine in. It looks like they were going to do an engine, but I don't know why they went down the second route of making you pay for it separately. Bit of a con, really, in my opinion. £50 for one engine. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay folks, here's the lower half of the engine block. If you're going to go down the same route as I am, this is what it looks like, all sort of assembled. This has got to go inside the truck chassis now. This will sit in there. Like I mentioned before, I'm not going to pay the £50 for the engine block. It's a total rip-off. Next step is the battery boxes. Okay folks, these section here make up the battery box. I'm looking in the instructions, and on top of this piece here, it requires your first piece of photo etch, and the photo etch requires for W17, and photo etch piece W17, which is here, which you can see, only goes up to 1, 2 and 3. Number 17 is actually on photo etch piece X, which is this piece here down the bottom. So they've made a slight mistake in instructions. Just a heads up. Okay folks, I've gone ahead and put in the lower half of the engine like I mentioned earlier, plus I've gone and finished off the battery box slash step. So it's a step and battery box combined. You have to put a little bit of photo etch, which is your first piece, and some piping has to go on the front. And this is where the whole tyre chassis is where I'm currently at now. So my next step will be putting on fuel tanks. The fuel tanks go on the sides there where these holes are, and you've got one fuel tank next to the battery box.